We started about 11 p.m. UK time and finished maybe 8 a.m. And by that point, we'd had, I think, most of the results. We were still waiting for Alaska and Hawaii, obviously, and then there were 3 swing states left, Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada. But with the states we had, it was pretty clear that Trump was definitely going to win, even though he'd not actually crossed the 270-point threshold at that mark. There's been a lot of digestion in the American media and press about it, and so far, part of what they've come up with is both the Democrats were relying on women turning out in massive numbers. Typically in American elections, women are more likely to vote than men, and because of the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the abortion issue becoming more prominent this election cycle compared to previously, the Democrats were counting on a lot of women voting and a lot of them voting for the Democrats. That didn't happen as much as was expected. The other big change compared to 2016 and 2020 was that Donald Trump massively improved his share of the vote with black and Latino men, whereas previously the kind of strongest indicator that someone would vote Donald Trump is that they were a white voter. He's done a really good job at courting male voters of all races this election, and I think that really swung it for him. There's also the fact that there was a certain lack of enthusiasm for the Kamala Harris campaign amongst the circles of American progressives, especially due to her stance on the war in Gaza and continuing to support Israel. That really depressed the progressive turnout. And, for example, in Michigan, where there's a fairly significant American Muslim population who usually overwhelmingly vote Democrat this time around, they quite decisively voted for the Green Party as a rejection of both the Democrats and the Republicans supporting Israel. I think part of it is definitely Trump's style. He's known for his fiery rhetoric, for making decisions which can be a bit off the cuff and surprising. There was talk after his first presidency. I remember there was a documentary on the BBC a couple of years back, and there'd been a NATO summit where the night before, or during one of the nights, Trump had announced to his staff that he planned to withdraw from NATO in the morning, and they managed to talk him back round, and by the morning he decided against it. But it's that sort of unpredictability that made America, I think, quite difficult for a lot of Western leaders to work with. There's also Trump's talk about implementing economic tariffs. I believe it's a flat 10% tariff on all foreign imports, which would absolutely decimate businesses across the world which rely on importing to the United States, because it would obviously increase their fees a lot. And again, that comes down to Trump's unpredictability and whether that's something he'll follow through with. So I think the biggest thing is he's hard to predict, Trump, really. And if there's one thing that world leaders like, it's predictability. I think the reaction's been a bit muted just for the fact that it's an American election. It's happening half the world away. I did pop down to File Bar on the night of the election. They were doing an all-nighter, and I asked around at the bar for the radio who people thought would win, and it was honestly about an even split between Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, and I don't know. So I think it really shows how split students have been. The polls were completely 50-50, but I think it comes down to a gut feeling, and my guts for most of the election cycle had been saying Trump. I think when Kamala Harris first entered the race, there was a lot of optimism around her campaign initially, but I think her momentum really slowed, and I couldn't shake the feeling that Trump was going to win.